Stranger Things never made it easy for viewers to accept the fate of its characters. From the most brutal, heartbreaking, and unpredicted deaths to selfless sacrifices for friends and loved ones, the show has consistently shocked fans. Here's a quick recap of the most brutal deaths so far, plus a bonus look at the deaths fans are predicting for Season 5. Get ready to relive the pain. So, let's start the list from Season 1. In Season 1, makers wasted zero time showing us that kindness is a liability in Hawkins. Benny, the diner owner who gave Eleven her first meal and moment of safety, pays with his life for helping a lost kid Agent Connie Frazier's cold-blooded execution, disguised as suicide, set the show's tone. No one is safe, not even innocent bystanders. Benny's death warned viewers. In Stranger Things, being a good person can get you killed. Right at the start of a new season, Chrissy Cunningham's death in Season 4 is unquestionably the most bone-chilling moment the show has delivered. Introduced as a troubled cheerleader, her demise marks one of the show's most jarring tonal shifts. In a horrifying display, Vecna unleashes supernatural brutality. Her body levitates, limbs snap, and eyes are gouged in real time as Eddie watches helplessly. Fans were completely caught off guard. Nobody expected a main character to die this early, this graphically, or this violently. Chrissy's death ignited the darker horror-filled direction for Season 4 and firmly established Vecna as the most sadistic villain Stranger Things has ever seen. Brutality isn't just physical, it's psychological. Billy spends most of his arc as a villain, but in the final moments of Season 3, he redeems himself by sacrificing his life to save Eleven, and Max Billy Hargrove's death is a brutal collision of violence and redemption. For most of his time in Stranger Things, Billy is the tough, aggressive antagonist, shaped by a traumatic upbringing and known for his cruelty. But in the Season 3 finale, this harsh exterior cracks when Eleven reaches inside his mind, uncovering memories of his abused past and a glimpse of his humanity. In that moment, Billy breaks free from the Mind Flayer's control. He sacrifices himself, standing between the monster's tentacles and Eleven to protect her and Max. The physical torment he endures is excruciating. He's impaled, beaten, and ultimately fatally wounded in a scene that shocked viewers with its raw intensity. Fans were deeply affected by this unexpected turn. Billy's sacrifice transformed him from a hated bully into a tragic hero, leaving many viewers heartbroken but grateful for his redemptive arc. His death was not just shocking, it was a powerful reminder that even the toughest characters can find redemption in their final moments. Bob's death is the nightmare of nice guys everywhere. He bravely faces down a Hawkins lab overrun by deadly demodogs, using his technical know-how and pure decency to save Joyce, Will, and the others by resetting the school's security system and unlocking the doors. Against all odds, he makes it almost to safety, giving a brief, hopeful smile that everything might be okay. But that hope is shattered as the demodogs burst from the shadows and viciously tear him apart alive, right before Joyce's horrified eyes. The graphic, desperate nature of his demise hit hard for viewers who had quickly grown to love Bob as a rare beacon of kindness and light in the grim world of Hawkins. His death was especially cruel because it looked like he was going to survive, making the savage attack feel sudden and unfair. Behind the scenes, Bob's death was originally planned to occur much earlier and involve different circumstances, like being killed by a possessed Will Byers. But the showrunners delayed it to allow audiences more time to connect with him. Despite his short time on screen, Bob's sacrifice paved the way for later big character deaths and raised the stakes impressively in Season 2, proving Stranger Things wasn't afraid to kill off important, beloved characters. Heather's death falls into the body horror category. Mind-controlled by the Flayer, she dissolves into a puddle of flesh and sinew. Unremarkable one episode, a liquefied casualty the next. Her end is a warning that Hawkins monsters always need fresh fuel and don't care at all about innocence. Jason Carver's story arc is a textbook example of how fate can be crueler than any monster. Introduced in Season 4 as the protective boyfriend mourning the death of his girlfriend Chrissy Cunningham, Jason starts the season with a personal vendetta, blaming Eddie Munson for her gruesome death. His descent into paranoia and violent behavior turns him into a symbol of ignorance and blind rage throughout the season. No one expected, however, that after witnessing Chrissy's terrifying death early on, Jason himself would meet an equally shocking and grisly end. In the chaotic final moments as gates to the Upside Down erupt all over Hawkins, a fissure opens right beneath Jason, splitting him in half in a sudden, brutal, and utterly unforgiving death. His screams as he's torn apart underline the horror of dying without understanding what's happening. In that cruel twist, Jason suffers perhaps the harshest fate of all, going out in ignorance, disconnected from any chance at redemption or understanding. Another tragic death of a close friend, Eddie Munson's end in Season 4 was one of the most heartbreaking and unpredicted moments in Stranger Things. Wrongly painted as a satanic killer and outcast, Eddie never truly got the chance to prove his innocence to Hawkins until he made his final, heroic stand. In the Upside Down, with Dustin by his side, Eddie lures a swarm of demobats away by performing an epic, thunderous Metallica solo from the rooftop of his trailer. A desperate act of sacrifice to buy his friend's time. The scene is equal parts heroic and gut-wrenching. As Eddie shreds his guitar, he's ripped, torn, and gnawed on by the demonic swarm, dying slowly and painfully in Dustin's arms. The physical brutality is staggering, but the cosmic injustice cuts deeper. Hawkins still blames him for the deaths he tried to prevent, leaving Eddie condemned even in death. Only his closest friends know the truth of his sacrifice and bravery. Fans worldwide were shattered by Eddie's fate. His death wasn't just another casualty. It was the culmination of a powerful narrative arc about acceptance, courage, and the price of being misunderstood. Though many wished for a different ending, Eddie Munson's legacy as a tragic hero who finally faced his fears defiantly remains unforgettable and deeply poignant. Papa, or Dr. Martin Brenner, stands out as one of the most morally complex characters in Stranger Things. He is arguably the only figure who is clearly seen as a villain throughout the series, yet his death resonates deeply with viewers, sparking mixed emotions. On one hand, many viewers criticize him fiercely for the cruel scientific experiments and emotional abuse he inflicted on Eleven and the other children at Hawkins' lab. On the other hand, some recognize a tragic sacrifice in his final moments. A flawed man who, despite his monstrous deeds, showed a twisted kind of care and made a last-ditch effort to protect Eleven, the girl he regarded like a daughter. This duality defines Brenner's character. He is chillingly manipulative and controlling, using unethical research and harsh methods to unlock and control Eleven's powers. But beneath it all lies a man who seemed genuinely invested in her development, however misguidedly. He oscillates between a villain bent on control and a fatherly figure caught in his own obsession and warped love. His death in the desert, gunned down while trying to save Eleven, marks not a heroic redemption, but a tragic, complicated end that leaves an empty legacy. Viewers either condemn him for his abuses or accept that he made significant sacrifices for Eleven's sake. This balance of villainy and sorrow makes Brenner a uniquely haunting figure in the Stranger Things narrative. Alexei's is the show's most senseless death. The Russian scientist becomes a fan favorite, finds brief joy at the Hawkins Fair, and is promptly gunned down by a hitman. There's no heroism, no buildup, just random tragedy in a world that never allows happiness to last long. Fans mourned him almost instantly because, unlike most, he had no chance to fight back. So, this was the list of most brutal and heartbreaking deaths in Stranger Things so far. But there are also characters fans are convinced will die in Season 5 as theories explode online with the release date creeping closer. Max Mayfield sits right at the center of that storm. She survived Vecna's first attack only to be shattered in the finale. Bones broken, eyes bleeding, heart stopped, then dragged back from the edge by Eleven into a coma that feels worse than death, with her mind possibly still trapped in Vecna's shadow. Now the fandom is split. Some swear Max is doomed and Season 5 will finish what Vecna started, while others are betting on a full comeback, imagining her waking up, reclaiming her life, and turning that trauma into the final weapon against the Upside Down. And it's not just Max. People are predicting brutal ends for Will, Hopper, Steve, maybe even Eleven herself. arguing that Stranger Things can't close without one last devastating sacrifice. But what do you think? Who actually deserves to die in Season 5? Who deserves a second chance? And which death would be a step too far for you?